morning, or rather getting into the afternoon. This is the second one of the second season, which is a condensed more set of lessons, less talk, more obvious playing. So in this, it's going to be about tonal stuff from the tonal hand and what you can generally expect to find with it. The first thing is the open tone. Really simple. Straight up, nothing on the back. But the open tone depends also where you're striking on the skin. Next one, but if you want to change the tone in and out, the heel, get your heel of your hand, put it in there. You're going to press in and out, in and out, in and out. And depending on how much timbre you're going to change on it is depending on how far you are hitting. So if I put my hand in the middle and I hit the middle, that's the sound it's going to make. But if I put it more up and around this area and I press in and out, now you're getting some more fundamental changes in the bass. So if you're playing and you get sort of that bass sound, that's the idea. Use that a lot to make a walking bass sound sort of thing. And experiment, playing above and below it. If you're a person who likes to play a lot of top end, pressing up in here, whether they're using the blade of the hand or the palm, you can create a tom-tom effect. You can hear it. It's like whoop, whoop, whoop. Up, up, up. That sort of sound. Similar to that, you have something called a choke, or at least I call it a choke. Basically, it's taking the flat part of the hand, and you're not making bass notes. You're doing up and down. And the point is just to play either just above or much higher. If you're going to play just above, you're going to have the most dynamic. It's going to literally have the most pronounced change. But if you're at one section and you're playing and moving up to meet it, it has a bit of a more subtle tone to it. So either play just above, because you're striking right at sort of the blade of your hand, which is creating a new bearing edge. Versus it's a little bit softer, a little more subtle. So that's the choke. It's flat on the back, moving up and down, and you're choking the amount of vibration in the skin. Yeah. Flat is literally you playing flat on the back of the hand. Flat, splat, dead, hit. You can change the pitch of it by moving it, again, up and down closer to the rim. Same idea. Choke can also be done on or a splatting hit on the back of the hand by spreading the fingers and creating different areas of different tension. So if you're someone who knows the Indian split hand technique playing, or the Spock thing, maybe you want to do the Spock thing, you can hit certain areas and get different effects. Very much like Joni Ringo, who uses a lot of different fingers on the back. You can also do something which is sort of like, I don't really know how to call it a clonk. And instead of playing the normal bass, like that, you're actually picking a spot somewhere in the middle and you're playing up in this area instead. So you get sort of a dead clonk. It's a hard clonk sort of a sound. So instead of, you have there. Like that. Clonks are really nice because they can just be a good, strong, dead sort of hit. What's also nice is if you like using brush tippers, it sounds great too. You know, there's so many things that the hand can do, and you can experiment all over the back. The ones you're probably going to use the most are going to be the heel, the choke, the blade, to push in and out, and you might be using a cupped hand on the back. The cupped hand on the back does two things. Like a splat, it flattens the sound out, but unlike the splat, it creates a section of air and a section of the skin that vibrates a little bit more. Flat. So you can control the airspace behind the skins vibrating. In and out, in and out, in and out. The last thing, and there's so many other techniques out there, but these are sort of the most usable ones, is that you can use the back of the head to play. So if you're just playing, and what you get is called a kick. You get the kick off the back. If you've ever watched one of Ronan O'Snooty's videos, he usually has something on the back, playing, you know, maybe he has a brush going. And that gives you basically sort of the bass drum fat kick on the bottom. Obviously, you're not going to be using a thin tipper like this. You'll be using something heavier like, I don't know, piece of doweling wood, maybe 2-inch thick cut doweling wood or something like that. There's so many opportunities to do stuff on the back of the skins. And unlike a lot of other frame drums out there, where you're either holding it like this, like you do in Duff, whether you hold it in a more sort of frame drum fusion sort of style, there is one thing that the Bowron has that's unique to Bowron playing and stick playing, is that you literally are, it can seem like you're limited on one side, but you have the other side, and your other hand can actually do more tonal changes on the drum than most frame drum players can do on the front. So they would have to switch to the other sides, or they would have to literally stop playing that instrument and pick up a different type of instrument. You know, I have a DAF there in the back, and I could play that if I wanted, like a Bowron, and I'm going to experiment with that later on, but for right now it's my hand drum practice. But you can completely and absolutely get an almost infinite amount of tones on the back of the drum head. And it's difficult to figure out what works. Sometimes you want something that's going to ring. Sometimes you want flat. You know, try to figure out, and it's up to you as the Bowron player in whatever session to see what seems to work best. Sometimes, like a lot of Seamus O'Kane playing, he'll use a lot of ringing tones. Or if you want something more of a rumbling, rolling thing, you'll get Johnny McDonough for that sense. You know, or Peter Mercier, who has a lot of playing with the Chieftains when he's doing lots of motor rhythms. Same with Kevin Knapp. Or maybe you want something that's a little more modern, dynamic with playing. So you're not going to be using a whole lot of finger stuff, but you'll be using a lot of sort of the chokes, the bass, and the tom hits, a la John Joe Kelly, or a la Ronan O'Snoody, or Rolf Boggles, for example. So there's lots of opportunities to do a ton of stuff on this versatile membrane. Give it a shot, experiment. That's the whole point. Have a good one.